All right, everybody. Welcome to another live here from the Area 51 boys. This is a bit of an emergency episode, guys. I think if you're on here, you've already heard the news. The Vancouver Canucks announced today that forward JT Miller has been signed to an 8-year contract extension for $56 million. Pardon me, 7 years, $56 million. And he is at the end of the JT Miller saga, people. For better or worse, here we are. Question I want to ask you guys, Josh and Adam. How many times did you check if that was a real Canucks account tweeting that out?
4. I think I checked 4 times. I checked just the account, and then I checked another couple accounts. I went back to the account and checked it. I was blown away. I mean, should we really be surprised by these Friday afternoon news dumps though by the Vancouver Canucks? Because we've seen it so many times now.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, like Jeff had tweeted out, Bester gets done on a long weekend, and then Miller gets done on a long weekend as well. It seems like Alvin likes to do his work on the Fridays. What are you guys' thoughts here? Initial thoughts, Josh. I know you might have a bit of a different opinion than the rest of us, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I want to hear Adam. I want to hear how many times Adam had to check on the account to make sure that it was a real.
Yeah, so my first initial reaction to this is that, oh my gosh, this is the best Mr. Booth reemergence that could possibly happen. I too, like Josh, checked and then checked again to make sure that it was it was correct. But it was funny because I was talking to some people earlier today, and we were asked, is Miller going to get traded? And I was the only one who said no. And I just, you just get the sense of how the Canucks have been building this team is that they love JT Miller. Like, they love JT, like Bruce Boudreau loves JT Miller, and Aquilini wants the playoffs. So the only reasonable correlation there is that there is going to be a deal that gets done. I thought it was going to be 8 years, so 7 years is for me is kind of better. I was surprised that they gave him more than Hughes and Pettersson got, because everything that we've been hearing up until now is that there's an internal cap, and that's Hughes and Pettersson. But let's be real here. They just signed a 99-point player for less than $10 million. So in a way, that's a win. Yeah. The fact that they didn't hit that $10 million, and the fact that they didn't even hit that $9 million threshold based off of what we've seen this offseason with trades and signings and everything, that does show that there was a little bit of restraint, that they weren't just here, take as much money as you want. We'll just throw it at you, and we want you here long term. But
Adam, let me just jump in there. You said they signed a 99-point player. They actually signed a player who's just coming off a 99-point year. I don't know if they signed a 99-point player. There's a big difference between those two things. All right, JT Miller hadn't really sniffed, around that 9,900 total till this year. Maybe he's hopefully. I mean, if you're a Canucks fan, you're probably hoping JT Miller's at least a point per game player now for the next 3 to 4 years minimum. Hopefully longer than that if the Canucks have any chance of this deal, not blowing up in their face entirely. And like you mentioned, the big thing I think is that JT Miller now makes more money than Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson's contract's up in 2 years. These next 2 years are going to be critical. I think long term it's better for the Canucks that they hope Pettersson is going to be better than Miller going forward here. So what is Pettersson's next contract going to look like? Because he's not taking a dime under JT Miller. And that's kind of not what we've seen smart teams do. Smart teams generally have they get their best players the big money early, and they say, you're not going to make more than this player. I look at teams like Tampa Bay, when they have free agents coming up, they always are compared to Kucherov and Stamkos and Hedman and the likes, and you kind of you build your own internal salary cap. The Canucks don't seem like they have that going on right now because, arguably Quinn Hughes is probably their best player, maybe Elias Pettersson, whatever. Over the last little bit, JT Miller makes more money than both of them now. He's older than them. He will probably decline soon. all the things we've said, but for better or worse, JT Miller is a Vancouver Canuck, and the biggest thing that this signals to me is that Patrick Alvin and Jimmy Doyle, they look at this team and they don't think that they're far away. They must see this roster, whatever they saw last year with Boudreau and Miller, Pettersson, Horvat, Demko. They think that they have the players here, that they have a core of a Stanley Cup winner. Maybe they don't think they have a Stanley Cup winner right this second, but they think that the top players in the Vancouver Canucks are good enough to win the Stanley Cup, and they are in go for it mode here. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's exciting. That's all I'll say.
It is funny. I did get a message as soon as from somebody who said "sign and trade?" ? And I was like, I don't think so.
No. But before we get into like the whole core discussion that you brought up, Hassan, I really think that something that is to be looked at is that Hughes and Pettersson were already signed before this new management regime came in. And we also have to look at, too, obviously, the salary cap is expected to go up in the next couple of seasons. So necessarily setting the bar at $8 million for JT Miller. And yes, like you said, he's not a 99-point player. He's a player that got 99 points one season. But I don't think it's that necessarily too much of a risk to make. And I don't think it has to necessarily say that the Canucks are going all in this season, or they're like it's like a push just for like the Stanley Cups or whatever. Yes, they're probably looking for the playoffs, and most teams are, unless you're Arizona. But I don't know. I just when this came down, you guys saw my excitement, and then in the chat there, I was pushing. I was like, let's talk about this. I think this was a really, really good move by the Canucks management.
Well, it will be interesting because, we saw the effect that not having a this is a little bit of a different situation, but we saw the effect of not having a contract that played on Pettersson and Hughes early in the season. They missed the training camp. Now, this is a little bit of a different situation, but how many times do we see it where, like, players, they go through this contract negotiation like a year out in the training camp, and then they kind of fall flat early. So now there's no excuse for Miller, like, coming out of the bat, like, we'll see what happens. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people, based off of the,
Miller even mentioned that aspect. Sorry to cut you off there, but Miller even mentioned that aspect on the John Scott podcast about how it would be a distraction and rather, just focus on playing hockey.
Yeah, it's, you can't understate that, like, there are distractions, in everyday life, and it does have an effect. We saw what happened with, it's a whole different scenario, but we saw what happened with Brock Besser last year. Like, distractions off the ice. We've seen numerous times where players fail to live up to expectations in contract years. Now, we've seen the opposite as well, like with Nazem Kadri putting up, double the amount of points that he ever has in a season, basically, like last year with Colorado. But it will be interesting to see if Miller can redo the 99 points or even get better, like with a healthy Pettersson for the whole year, with, healthy Brock Besser, with the addition of Kuzmenko and Mikheyev, with Podkolzin being there for an extra year, and Horvat, obviously. And then we also run into, so I think, it was good that they got this done because now there's no distractions. Now he doesn't have to sit there the entire year going like, am I going to get traded tomorrow? So I think that signing him now is a huge positive.
It's still sure. I'm not going to argue that having JT Miller at an $8 billion cap hit for this season isn't fair value. He performed. JT Miller, since he's been in Vancouver, has performed, commensurate to the contract he signed right now. It's not really is JT Miller worth it or not. Like, if the Canucks were in their cup window right now, if the Canucks were coming off the season the Edmonton Oilers had, or the Calgary Flames had, where they had a core that they think is a cup contender, and you signed JT Miller to this contract, I would be like, hey, you know what? The Canucks are in their window right now. The team is great. We need JT Miller to win the Stanley Cup. Let's sign him. Who cares about the long-term ramifications? The Canucks window, I feel like, hasn't even opened yet, or maybe it's opened a smidge, and now they're just trying to squeeze their way through there. It doesn't really seem to make any long-term sense. It doesn't seem to be any different than what Jim Benning and company we're doing, for the last decade. seems a lot more the same. It's short-sighted, in my opinion, to sign a guy like JT Miller to this kind of contract. At the end of the day, you sign JT Miller to be a top 6 producer, a top line producer for the next 7 years, and
Okay.
I'm not sure he's the guy that you throw that kind of money to, because in my opinion, JT Miller, if all things pan out, I think he's still not even the 4th most important player going forward for the Vancouver Canucks.
But Hassan, there is a huge difference between signing Louis Eriksson 6x6 than signing JT Miller 8x7. There's a huge difference. Like, they are so different players.
They
You
are
know
different
that
players,
Miller
Adam.
works with the
I'm not saying
organization.
they're different
No,
players,
you know
but
that
if you're not worth
you
your
know-
contract, you're not worth your contract. I don't care if it's by a little bit or not. Like, if JT Miller is just a middle 6 player or a top 6, decent top 6 player, then his contract's still not going to be worth it. JT Miller needs to be like a clear first-time producer for the next 5 to 6 years. And again, like I said, I think, JT Miller has had like a bunch of great seasons in Vancouver. None of them have really translated to any real success for the Canucks as a club. Even last season, JT Miller was probably their most consistent player. He was lighting it up. He was putting up all the points. The team was doing awful, even under Travis Green. And then, when Boudreau came, other players started to step up. But as this team goes, like, as good as other players can play, if Elias Pettersson doesn't play the way he can, then this team is screwed either way. JT Miller is not the best player in the Canucks, but he's being played like it. And that is not a thing smart management teams do. Like, JT Miller is not he's not one of the 3 or 4 most important skaters going forward for the Canucks. He's just not.
Well, so Hassan, you kind of mentioned contracts. So if we're going to talk about comparables, so obviously the ones that we're going to look at is like a Mika Zibanejad, a Thomas Hertl. Where do you think his contract stands in compared to those 2 players? Because I would say that the Canucks have gotten some value out of the contract they've signed.
I mean, if you look at a guy like Zibanejad, who was a lot younger when he signed his contract, Zibanejad is about the same age as Miller now, and he's been on his contract for a few years. So you might quibble with that one. And JT Miller, if you view him as a center, I guess, but I mean, if you look at Thomas Hertl's contract, I think most people kind of had negative reviews on Thomas Hertl's contract when he signed with San Jose as well. I don't think a lot of people, a 29-year-old centerman, coming off his best season, I don't think a lot of people will be super happy with that contract. I think if, the Canucks signed Hertl to that deal, I wouldn't be happy with that either.
Well, you're saying you don't think JT Miller is going to play center this year? Because I mean,
I don't think I don't think JT Miller should be a center. No, I think the Canucks play better I think JT Miller plays better when he's a winger. That's kind of neither here nor there at this point, because I think he's going to play center, but he's been a winger for most of his career until he got to Vancouver.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I think JT Miller plays better as a winger, but I think he's a better face-off guy than most of the options that the Canucks have. So I think he might start down that role like we saw last season. And if that's the case, then you're going to be kind of factoring him into a center position on his own line.
Yeah. I mean, like, I see what you're saying. Like, again, like this season, like, yes, I see JT Miller as a helpful piece. I think he's a good player. I think that he'll be worth his cap hit this next, not this coming season, but the season when his contract kicks in, like the next couple of years. It's just a long-term outlook on this, Josh. So, like, the Canucks have had this same core of players together for the last few years, and they have not even gotten close to a successful run in the playoffs, or they haven't really gotten anything where you'd be like, yes, like this is the team to do it, and yet they keep bringing all these players back. So what's changed here? Like, why would I think now all of a sudden JT Miller 29 or 30 is going to become better than he was at 28, 27 when he was here, which still at the end of the day wasn't good enough for the Vancouver Canucks to really get into the playoffs or even make a significant run, which is really the end goal, not just make the playoffs.
Well, would you say that they took a substantial step forward in their forward group with just the additions of Mikheyev and
Kuzmenko and
Kuzmenko?
I mean, I suppose I could talk myself into saying that the Canucks have a legitimate top 7 to 10, maybe higher than that, forward group in the NHL. Like, I think that the Canucks forward group, as currently constructed, you could make the argument that that's a contenders forward group.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I think a team could win the Stanley Cup with a forward group like the Canucks have right now. But there's a lot of holes. There's more to the team
Yeah,
than
they,
forward.
yeah, don't worry. I'm not gonna disagree on the holes. I'm gonna plug the good stuff at LA first. But would you also agree that Thatcher Demko is going to take another step forward after being a starter for his first season last
How
year?
much better is he gonna get, Josh? He was a borderline Vezina candidate this year.
He got a
He
couple
stands on his
votes.
head.
He
He
can,
stands.
he
He
can
stands on his
get a
head.
couple more GM votes.
He stands on his head every night almost, and I don't know if that's a great strategy to win the Stanley Cup, Josh. Like, hey, you know what? We've got a goalie and stand on his head, and I'm not gonna pretend I'm not a goalie expert. Goalies are voodoo. Goalies sometimes fall off like that. You don't even see it coming, and sometimes they bounce back like crazy. So
It's funny because
would I
I'm
be
not
shocked? Would
I'm
I be
not a
shocked if
goalie.
Denver got worse? Yes, but it could happen.
It's funny because I'm not a goalie guy, but I'm a huge keeper guy in soccer, which it just doesn't make any sense. But keepers aren't crazy like goalies. But no, I think Thatcher Demko, if he can take that next step forward, the Canucks have kind of improved their forward, and I don't think they're done. Like the holes you're talking about on defense, yes, they're there and they're glaring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to disagree with the Canucks have glaring holes on their defense. No one has any clue. Everybody's trying to we're switching. Oh, is OEL playing the right side? Is OEL playing the left side? Is Quinn Hughes playing the right side? Is Quinn Hughes playing the left side? Everybody's throwing it out on their depth charts. So I know that that's definitely going to be an issue, but I don't think the Canucks are quite necessarily done yet. And if this kind of locks things in, we can more or less move forward to a Bo Horvat extension. I know Adam was I don't know where he even went, but I know he was saying, oh, they're going to trade Bo Horvat. No, I don't think they're going to trade Bo Horvat.
Well, you're bringing back the same team again, then, Josh. How are they going to get better if we keep signing everybody that's been here for the last 7 years of failure? And you're like, we got to improve the defense. How are they going to improve the defense? When the Canucks don't have cap space to sign players, and you generally overpay for them, they're not going to bottom out and get a high draft pick. Where is the improvement going to be coming from? And you keep bringing back the same group of forwards again. They're like, hey, they're good. We got to get better at some point. We can't just be, if the Canucks are so great right now, why haven't they done anything in the playoffs?
Well, Hassan, what issues did the Canucks have last year? What was the main if you could put your say one or two of the main issues that the Canucks had last year, what would they be?
The defense is awful there, Josh.
Okay, and another one. Can you give me a second?
I'll give you. Well, the reason the Canucks were
the penalty kill.
Penalty kill was a big problem,
Yes.
Obviously.
I know. You didn't even want to mention it because I'm going to bring up Eli Mikheyev. But I think that with Eli Mikheyev, I think he's a really underrated player that a lot of people haven't seen much of. If people know me, they know I'm watching the Leafs games all the time. I'm tweeting out about the Leafs, so I know a lot about Ilya Mikheyev. Okay, he's a dynamic player. He's going to provide so much for the Canucks, and one of the things that literally crushed them, it crushed them in games. When you get scored on twice on the penalty kill in a game, you're going to lose.
But Josh, let's just say in a magical world last year, the Canucks penalty kill was just slightly above league average instead of historically awful.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the Canucks finish at the end of last season? Maybe they get bounced in the first round.
Honestly, probably in the same spot.
That's the thing. So is that the bar we're achieving? A fringe playoff? Is that the bar we're striving to? We need to start getting. I understand. Yes, you're not going to become. Teams don't go from we're a lottery team to we're a Stanley Cup contender overnight. There's the progression. We need to become not a lottery team, and then we need to become a fringe playoff team, and then we need to become a regular playoff team, and then we need to break through, and we need to win the Stanley Cup, and we need to make deep runs. The Canucks haven't even accomplished the first bar, and we look like we're making moves to go over the top when we haven't even gotten to the middle yet.
Would you agree that the Canucks improved their roster this year?
I would say they're marginally improved. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, I think, what the management and ownership is kind of banking on, is that Petey, Quinn Hughes, Thatcher Demko, they kind of take that next step. Everybody else sits OEL, Tyler Myers, they're kind of, Garland, they level, sit where they are. Garland gets amazing points on, 5-on-5. And then these new additions kind of solidify the weaknesses that they seemed to have last season, and then add a little bit more depth. Because like people are talking about Hoglander being on the fourth line. That's kind of my thought about this, and that's kind of what I am excited about them bringing back JT Miller for 7 years at $8 million, $56 million AAV. Gee, Friday news dump, eh?
Excuse me. Yeah, they are dumping the news on us, Josh. It's just at the end of the day, for me, I just don't see how the Canucks are going to become a contender with the way that their team is currently structured.
Mhm.
There is a glaring hole. I look at a team kind of like Edmonton. You probably teams to point to other, maybe people who are more positive Canucks to point at teams like Edmonton. Like, they don't have a great goalie. Their defense is questionable. They don't have a Quinn Hughes type of player, but maybe their player, the bottom end isn't that bad. And people are still counting the Oilers as a legitimate contender. But you know what the Oilers have that we kind of don't have and never will have is Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And they showed that they can carry a very terrible blue line with a very suspect goaltender to the Western Conference Final. And, the Oilers made the moves. They signed a goalie who they're hoping can be somewhat average. And the defense, they're just going to ride or die with that now at this point. And they have no choice because they have McDavid. The Canucks don't have a McDavid-level player, and I don't think any of the players you listed who need to take steps forward, Hughes, Pettersson, whoever, I don't think, no matter how good those guys get, I don't think they're ever going to get into the stratosphere of a Connor McDavid. So those are the kind of players that carry subpar teams to Stanley Cups. Do the Canucks have those kind of players right now?
That's just two, though. That's just two. Like, what? Yeah, and I know, and I'm trying. You know what? I was gonna try and find some argument with, like, well, Connor McDavid and Draisaitl can drag a terrible friggin' defense and no goaltending. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they're two of like the top 5 best players in the world, so I can't really that one. But no, I just think that with this move and solidifying it with knowing the cap space is going to be increasing in the next couple of years. I don't know. I don't know. I was really happy when I saw this one because I was messaging like crazy. I was like, we need to do an emergency podcast. You guys are like, we don't even podcast. We don't even do a podcast together. I was like, well, let's do one.
Yes. Well, Josh, I will just save some material for my own show, and this has been very fun. But like I said, I can't disagree with you that it's not going to be exciting. This is going to be exciting. The next few months, next couple of years now are going to be exciting. The Canucks have pushed their chips all in. Now it's Canucks. They've got a hand here. Now we're going to see if they're holding pocket aces or they've bluffed on a 2 and a 7. We'll have to see going forward here. But this has been super fun, man.
Before we jump out, do you think that they're going to trade Bo Horvat, or you think that they're going to just re-sign him? Like I think.
I think they will not trade Bo Horvat.
Okay.
Gun to my head, I think they don't trade Horvat. I think maybe they should consider it, but I think. I've always liked Horvat more than I like Miller. Not that I think Horvat's a better player, but I think Horvat brings, he's the captain, just freshly in. I don't think you trade a guy like that. I think he's a guy who really loves being a Vancouver Canuck, and he can't doubt his effort night in, night out. And I'd like to have him back. It really depends on the contract for a guy like Horvat with me. If Horvat and his agent call up and they're looking for JT Miller money, I think we do have to give him the boot. But all accounts so far, Satyar Shah has reported that the Horvat talks have been positive up to this point. So if Horvat signs a reasonable contract, I think the Canucks will most likely sign him.
I honestly think that if this does anything for like future Canucks news that people might be looking for, it might be somebody like a Garland or a Pearson if they're trying to
I
close
would
that
be,
space.
yes. If I'm looking to trade, I'd be looking
Yeah.
at a guy like Garland right now. Like if you're a Canucks fan,
Yeah,
maybe you
because
could
it's
flip him.
such a controlled con.
Exactly. There's no uncertainty about signing the guy. You know what you're gonna get.
Mhm.
And I know he's a bit of an analytics darling, and some people really like him, but let's see how he fits in the team this year. And there's also no artificial pressure points with a guy like Garland, though, right? You've got him for 4 more years of this term. Just under $5 million. Like, there's no pressure to trade him. If he's good, he's on your team. Great. If he's a trade chip, there's no like, oh, we're not gonna sign, we're not gonna negotiate, we're not gonna do this. Hey, you have a contract, show up and play. So I think Garland's the guy that kind of pops to my mind automatically, and I think Garland's future is really going to be determined by a guy like Kuzmenko. If Kuzmenko is legit and the Canucks do end up re-signing him for a reasonable number, or if he's,
if he can make the top six.
I have no idea what to expect from Kuzmenko. If Kuzmenko comes in and can replace Garland's production right away, you can get him for a better contract than Garland's on, then, even more sense to trade a guy like Garland. But I think, that's probably like the play you're looking for at this point.
Well, Hassan, it's funny because now that JT Miller has been locked up, I'd like to think we've been the first official show that started the next rumors about trades with Connor Garland, or Tanner Pearson.
The vultures are circling already in Vancouver. The vultures are circling.
Well, I'll let you last to join you, man.
Yeah, it was awesome, Josh. Yeah, we don't pod together. We should have more often, Josh. We don't do
the. It's funny because we don't do the cross show.
Yeah.
Stream. Maybe we'll have to do like they used to do on the old Funny Station, where they do the cross.
Switch some hosts around, yeah.
Yeah, switch some hosts around, and you guys can come and join us for like the Van Slam, and I'll come join you guys for Capsways Wins Cups or something like that. So
that would be fun. But yes, this is gonna wrap up the live here from me and Josh. Adam obviously could hop off a little earlier, but he just disappeared. But thanks from Adam as well for tuning in. And yeah, make sure you guys check out all the great content on the F51 Sports Network. Like Josh mentioned, you got Van Slam there. If you're the Hoops fan, you got Point Shot Hockey, you got Capsways Wins Cups, you got Shifts and Pucks, you got Canucks Mafia. And I'm sure all these places are going to be recorded. A lot of content coming into the weekend here. So you'll hear every thought about JT Miller, which will vary from Josh's rose-colored glasses to Mike and Malcolm, preparing for Armageddon here as well. So we'll make sure you listen to all of it. And thanks again for tuning in, guys. But we'll probably do another live here shortly with the season around the corner. But thanks for tuning in right now, everybody.
She's coming in tonight.
Tonight? Oh.
I told her I'm not changing anything. You're gonna see it. I might
right
just
now.
Sleep a little bit.
That's why.
8:15. I'm picking it up at 10:15. I'm gonna have a quick nap, but yeah. And then we get. She needs it, bro. You're gonna see her. She's she's in trouble. Like she's struggling. No, don't.
I'll vacuum out here. Yeah. After you're done in there, I'll vacuum out here.
Oh, good brother.
I'll tidy things up.
I'm not even fucking worried about it too much, brother. I'm not even. Yeah, no. I told her it's nothing fancy here. You're gonna see a house. She's like, no, I don't care.
Dude, I apologize to people when they come over.
Oh
Sometimes.
no, and they're so
And
impressed.
they're like,
Dude,
what
straight
the
up.
fuck are you?
Straight up.
What the fuck are you talking
Straight
about?
up.
They're like,
Yeah,
this house is like the cleanest house I've ever seen. I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel it's kind of dirty.
And she's a snake. Yeah, dude. I'm not worried.
Yeah, you told me about that.
I thought she was coming tomorrow, but she's like, no, I'm packing right now. I'm like, I'm working, and she knows I'm gonna be working, so she might just chill, just play some zombies. And
Oh
like,
yeah, no, of course.
she's like, I'm about to go play some zombies. She's like, fuck, I want to play some zombies. I'm like, whatever.
It's a friendly place. She can literally,
yeah.
she can
Oh, yeah.
literally walk around the neighborhood, and people will be like, "Hi, who are you?"
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
like-
shit. Not worried about it. I might fix a little bit of that. No, that's pretty nice. I might fix that a little bit. Yeah, she's fucking taking the 8:15. Oh, I'm gonna sober up a little bit. I don't think I should. Should I? Sober up.
No, you're gonna have, no, you're gonna have a nap.
I'm not having a little nap. We could probably arrange a
Unless
fridge.
unless
I pick up
I was gonna
she
say
cannot
because
drink, so she doesn't like drink at all. So I do.
I was gonna say because there's only water in this. But I was gonna say because unless you're gonna drink more, then we'll need to go to the liquor store.
No, she doesn't drink. Yeah. She can smell it.
But she knows you drink, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Dude. She saw me with my face being on the paintball field. She was a rat.
Crushing.
saw me,
Oh,
bro,
crushing.
she
crushing.
saw me roll on my ass, like killing all her fucking little homies. Like, believe me, bro. She's.
Oh.
Maybe the garage a little bit. I'm thinking. But even that, I don't want to stress out.
Well,
because then if you're stressed
does she
out
smoke?
about it,
Does she smoke?
she cannot, but we can blow it in her face. Like right now, like she like.
Oh, that's what. Yeah,
So,
that's what you
yeah,
were just talking.
she just had her molar put out, so I will not get my I will not get my dick sucked today. But Josh, fucking eat her pussy. I just never fucking
Yeah.
believe me, brother. And she needs it too. It's been like a few months for her too. I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I think it'll be good for me too. Bro, saw me fucking crying today.
You changed
No, I'm
it.
kidding. Fucking.
You changed the garbage already.
Oh shit! And I told her not to shave.
No,
I'm like, I'm barely, I'm not ready for that, but yeah, I'm not. Do you want to go pick up some beers for yourself, though? Josh?
For later? Right now? Yeah, I'm not gonna get this.
I got pizza in there, I got fruit, I got veggies, veggie plate. I'm fucking set. Bring it on. Yes.
I have. Oh, dude, I have.
We smell the salmon in here like big time, brother.
Also, when I did a kebabs the other day, there was like.
That salmon, by the way, just let me know when you fucking like that salmon was fucking smelly as fuck.
Oh, last night?
Yeah, bro.
No, that was scallops.
Oh, fuck.
I made bacon wrapped scallops.
That was fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're
Smell,
pretty
man,
they're
was
pretty
fucking
stinky.
nasty. Fuck.
Like not like bad stinky, but yeah, like really
Oh, fuck.
seafoody.